Hey guys and girls, happy, what day are we on? Monday. Probably not so happy for some, but have a good day nonetheless, okay? Try to. So, this word is something that I'm not 100% sure has been covered yet. I have had an experience in my youth that has always kind of boggled my mind, right? And I have written it in the book that I did write, okay? My book is kind of like journal style, right? But I put that experience in there, okay? And to this day, I've just been like, you know what? Someday God will explain to me exactly what was going on there, okay? So I will explain that to you guys shortly, but I'm trying to figure out which way I'm going to start this word, right? Because it was so unplanned, but it's just like with the amount of things that have been popping up recently, especially with the dream that I had last night, and my daughter had a dream about a week ago, I believe, that had me thinking also like, wait a minute. And then the other day, a few days ago, I went onto YouTube and I saw a video that was speaking about this. So I was like, you're definitely saying something to me here, right? So I had to go and see like what the Bible turns around and says about this particular thing, right? So I was like, okay then. So, right, where should I start, Lord? Do I start with my experience first? Okay, we're gonna take it back to the beginning, okay? I must have been about 8 or 9 years old, okay? I say that because me and my brother have a good distance between us in age, and I believe he had just been born or was just about to be born, okay? So we used to live at this house, and my room was a small room, okay? It used to be a bathroom, but they, made it into a bedroom instead and put the bathroom downstairs. Well, every night I would go in there and I would go to bed as normal. I used to love poetry, so I'd do my poetry, writing, and stuff like that, and then fall asleep. And when I would fall asleep, I would literally be up on the ceiling, okay? Something had me up on the ceiling, holding me on the ceiling, and I'd be looking down, and I could see through the floorboards, right? My mom and my dad in the living room sitting down, okay? Exactly where I had left them to go to bed. I could still see them down there. And my mum and dad was singers, okay? So they would have the music on, they'd be singing, practicing. They couldn't hear a thing anyway, even if, it was a case that I was kind of shouting down. And my room was at the back of the house. Excuse me, guys. So every night this would happen. I would explain it to my mum, and she would tell me to pray and go to my bed. And me, like, being a child, I don't remember, I vaguely remember like saying, oh, a little prayer that I used to say at school, which was, Lord be with us when we're sleeping, those we love in safety keeping, in our hearts peace with us stay, close beside us day by day. I believe that's how it went. I probably got some of the words wrong, it's been so long, okay? So I think I just would say that prayer and then go to bed, but didn't like put an amen at the end, or anything in particular, and didn't really like feel it because I didn't know anything about God at that time, right? Being like 9 years old. So every night this was happening. So I decided to go and sleep in my sister's bed because I just couldn't take it anymore and I was afraid, right? It came to a extent where one of my friends stayed over and she said it happened to her and she never stayed at my house ever again. I only found this out like recent, like these years of our adult life, that it had happened to her as well. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I was not tripping, okay? Like if I could get her on here so that she could explain it to you as well, that would have been great. But obviously we don't see much of each other. So anyway, I went back into my room. I was like, you know what? I'm going to my bed. I couldn't take it anymore. Like, my sister sleeps terrible, right? So do I. She would say it's me as well, right? So I was like, no, I'm going to my own room. And it happened to me again. And this time I was just like, so over it. I just said, I'm not afraid anymore. I'm not afraid anymore. And I just kept on saying it. And I slowly got put back down into my body. Okay. And from that point on, it stopped happening to me. So I was like, okay, then I still didn't understand what that was about in my adult life, right? I didn't understand anything about spiritual stuff or anything like that. I just lived my life, right? The wrong way, apparently, right? As we do, okay? And now I'm going to take you to the dream that my daughter had a few nights ago, right? She was at her BF's friend house, right? A BF's house. And she went to sleep and she said that she could see herself in the bed, okay? She could see herself in the bed. And then where she had went to, our cat, Nico, who's recently passed away, came over to her and she was holding him, okay? Like she was stroking him and everything, and he was fat, he was healthy, you know, he looked good and everything like that. And I was there and I says, she goes, look, Mum, here's Nico. I says, Elise, he's dead. And she was like, no, Mum, he's right here. And I was like, Elise, he is dead. I said, if you do not get back to your body right now, they're going to try and take over your body. And she looked and she could see like a whole bunch of spirits, demonic things trying to enter her body. I said, you need to go back to your body, okay? This is in the dream she's having. I said, you need to go back to your body. So she put the cat down and she went back into her body, okay? Right, so that was her dream. Then recently I saw a man saying that he astral projected out of his body and then he could not get back into it, okay? And I never went and watched the video. I wish I had now, but I glimpsed it on YouTube, okay? Because I was just scrolling through and just seeing what was on there to watch, you know, put as background noise or whatever. And that's what he had said. Excuse me, guys, sorry. And I was like, hold on a minute. Astral projection. And I've heard so many things about astral projection before, right? One of my cousins had spoken about astral projection at one point as well, right? And like I've gotten this sense that it's not of God, right? I don't know why it's available, because clearly God made and created everything. So even astral projection has a use for something, right? Because God wouldn't have created it if it wasn't for a reason, right? So, or allowed it, right? Whichever way, but he created everything. So whichever way you want to look at it, right, it's still there. And this opened up my mind now to what was actually happening to me, like as a child, because my child had actually done it and has spoken to me about it, and this dream that she had apparently had but could see herself. I had the same thing happen to me. The only difference was I didn't travel to anywhere or really particularly see anyone. It just felt like I was being held on the ceiling, okay? And I could see myself and I could see my parents downstairs. And in her dream, I was with her and I had to tell her to get back into her body, but she could see all the things that was trying to enter her body while she was out of it, right? So I was like, hold on a minute. I have heard that astral projection is a demonic thing, right? Since being in the faith walk community, oftentimes, you know, you will see that those things are frowned upon, because more new agey things and the occult and stuff like that deal with that. But coming from a background that I did not know about these things, as I said, I was not very spiritual, okay? I believed in God, but I didn't know about Jesus. I didn't follow anything in particular, okay? I could have been swayed to and fro. It could have been any religion at any point, right? But he had to come and show me the right way, basically, okay? And save me from the things that they was trying to drag me into, okay? I was being brought into those kinds of behaviors of occult worship and all those kinds of things at one stage, and the Lord had to come in and nip it in the bud, right? That's part of my testimony. And when he came in, he told me to get rid of my Buddha statue and take down the pictures I had on my wall and all these things, right? I had to get rid of the whole lot of them and throw them in the bin, right? Because that was not the way that he wished for me to go, right? So when I thought about this now, obviously I'm going to take you to my Google search now, right? And as I say, I will take it up with Bible. So I came across somebody's like, when they write their own verse about certain things, right? I went, let's go do that. There it is at the top. This, gochristian.org, right? And he's got this whole thing on it. And I didn't read all of that. I just wanted to see like where the Bible verse states this, okay? So he's got 2 Corinthians. Let's see if we can get the full thing up. Or is it just going to do that? Okay. Yeah, it's just going to do that. All right. So let's read it. 2 Corinthians 12, 1 verse through to 4. Sorry. I must go on boasting, though there is nothing to be gained by it. I will go on to visions and revelations of the Lord. I know a man in Christ who 14 years ago was caught up to the third heaven. Whether in the body or out of the body, I do not know. God knows, and I know that this man was caught up into paradise, whether in the body or out of the body, I do not know. God knows, and he heard things that cannot be told, which man may not utter. Okay? So that had me feeling like, oh, that's an illegal action that is being taken by the spirit of man, right? To astral project to places where you're not supposed to be able to go, right? And know things that you're not supposed to know, okay? So oftentimes it makes you sit and then wonder to yourself, like when we actually, our head hits that pillow, shall we say, when our head hits that pillow and we are having these dreams, is it an actual thing where our soul is astral projecting to other places? It had me like really sit here thinking to myself, like, how do I know that this is something that the Lord is okay with, right? So I've had to pray about it and, ask for him not to restrict, well, not to restrict, but not to allow me, to be going places that I'm not supposed to be, right? I only need to be where the Lord says I need to be. So if it's something that he's allowing for me and my child or whoever else, right, to do, then so be it, right? But it's always best we take it back to the Lord. As it says in this, right? It's not to go on boasting. It's not to be releasing things that, other people don't know, and, the hidden secrets and stuff like that, because I don't want to partake in anything illegal, and neither should you, because we don't know what that could cause for us in the eyes of the Lord, right? Whereas, like, there was the knowing that something was happening and we could see our own selves, right? Because I've watched plenty of NDEs as well, right? Near death experiences. And a lot of people say that they look down and they see the body, but some of them don't recognize that it's themselves and things like that, right? I've seen a few of them pop up. So I do watch a few of them. And in this, it was like I knew that was me. So it wasn't like it was death. It was like I was still attached to my body. It was just like I couldn't stop myself from being on top of the ceiling. Like the force was like so intense that I was upon the ceiling, okay, looking down at myself and my mom and my dad. And that in itself just makes you see just how powerful we are in God, like how he has created us, the things that he has enabled us to do. And it's quite scary all at the same time, right? Because we don't know what's the word I'm looking for? The extent of God's power, okay? We don't fully know who we are when we come here and we're living this life. Remember, we are spirits having a human experience, so we don't know the full ins and outs of anything. Only God knows, okay? We can only take what his word says and go with that, and then speak to him and let him clarify and give us the revelation about certain things that go on in our life and the things that we experience in the spirit, okay, in the spirit realm, in our dreams, right? And that in itself, like, those are very major revelations that he gave me, because it wasn't just me looking back on what had happened to me as a child, but he allowed for my child to have that dream, right, with me in there saying to her, you know, the cat's dead, you need to go back to your body before you cannot get into it. Okay, like, I haven't spoken to my child about any of these things at all. Okay, we don't, I speak to her, but I don't speak about these kinds of things unless it's totally necessary. Like the dream that I had last night, sorry, I forgot about that one as well. The dream I had last night, she had been taken out of her body again. Okay, I wonder if I can get into it. It was kind of, it's like the dream is all over the place. I'm not even going to lie to you. Okay, Elise, and the bed fell. She was a baby. Yeah, she turned. Okay, oh, can't even explain it. I couldn't find her, right? I'm not even gonna go by this because when I woke up, I don't even know. It's all over the place. I'm not even gonna lie, right? I was just trying to get all the bits in that I could possibly fit in, right? And now it's just all over the place. But I can remember it from memory. If I'm just looking at this now, I can remember. Okay, so sorry, guys. Right, my daughter, her dad, and me, right? She calls him dad, but it's my ex, okay? Because we was together for 6 years now. You know, that's her dad. Like how my dad was my dad, right? He stepped up. So me, her dad, and her were walking, and she decided to knock on the door. But in that knocking on the door, she didn't see where we was walking to, so she kind of got lost. So then Carl goes back to go and find her, but I end up finding her before he does, right? So then we go back to this place. I see my cousins, my uncle, a couple of others that are there, etc., etc. And my cousin brings back fish, and I say, okay, then I'm gonna go and cook the fish. I cook the fish and I batter it, and I give a piece to Elise. But when I give Elise a piece, she starts to have a bellyache. So I was like, oh, okay. Bear in mind, she ate fish yesterday. I have to like kind of speak to her about this. Maybe she needs to stay away from it for a little bit. You know, this is something that could be getting shown to me as a physical thing that needs to be addressed, right? So she had a bellyache and whatnot. So I says, okay, then I'm just gonna go and grab the baby. So I went upstairs to go and grab a chunky boy, right? A big chunky baby boy. And where he was, there was like a bed on the top, like a bunk bed style kind of thing. Grabbed him, but the bunk bed at the top fell down. I had to place him to the side and put the bed back up. As I grabbed the baby, two of the people come upstairs and says to me, Elise wasn't feeling well. So I was like, hold on, let me, where is she? This says down over there. So I grabbed the baby. Now when I grabbed this baby, it was like it had changed from the boy to my daughter, right? So when I went downstairs, I was like to them guys, where is she? And then I remembered that I had put her in my pocket, right? I'd put the baby in my pocket. Don't even ask, okay? Like we have this whole thing where we say pimp in distress, right? And then pimp in what's the word when you put the dots in between it? You know what I'm talking about, right? It means put it in my pocket, okay? So I started laughing kind of at that, but I was like, this is serious, okay? Whatever you're trying to say to me, Lord. And I took the baby doll, it turned into a doll, right? It was a baby, then it's a doll. And her spirit was in the doll, okay? So then I had to start doing mouth to mouth and trying to resuscitate her in this doll. I was like, okay, so where is her body? Okay, and when we went back, there was like, it's over here. And then there was like, no, they came and took it because she had been out of it for too long. And I was like, how could you allow for that to happen? Right? And then Carl says to me, Carly, take a look at these people, look at their faces. You've been shown that this is the way that they are. They've been paid to be this way, and they was being mischievous, basically, right? So, and then that's where the dream ended. So with that dream as well, so bear in mind the situation that happened to me when I was younger, about 9, my daughter's dream, the video of the man who said he astral projected and couldn't get back into his body, and then my dream last night about my daughter astral, well, basically her spirit not being in her own body but being placed into a doll, right? That was creepy in itself, right? But it just all came back to this knowledge of this whole astral projection thing. So I think I'm going to keep on looking into the Bible about this, right? But that was a good representation, what we just went to, where it just spoke about that in 2 Corinthians 12, 1 verse through to 4. Do you get what I mean? Like traveling upwards into these different dimensions. Do you know what I mean? And these things that are occurring and what you see and stuff like that need to be taken back to the Lord. Not all the time does it mean that you are to prophesy certain things as well. This is why I prefer to do like the teachings of the Bible of God, because some things, unless the Lord really presses it on my heart to speak about, and there's somebody I feel that needs to hear that message, I won't come on and speak about many of my dreams. I have so many of them, and I've just got them there because I said, unless he continuously, because one thing with God, he's very repetitive. If he is going to speak about something, trust me, he's going to tell you a good few times, 2 to 3 to 4 times, however many times he needs to tell you, and that means it's right now. Okay, so maybe this is happening to somebody else who is out there, and you're thinking, what is going on, right? Or you've traveled to certain places, you found out certain information you should not know. You've been to places in people's houses, like, you know, sometimes it can be like you're a watchman, so it's kind of difficult to be able to tell the difference between the two. Take it back to the Lord. Okay, was it something that he wanted you to see and wanted you to hear, or was it an illegal act, okay, of astral projection? Ask for the Lord to make sure that your spirit doesn't wander off into places it's not supposed to go to. Okay, and even still, I believe that he will allow for us to go through those things just so that he can get this across to us, that it's actually happening. The Lord will use all things, okay, for good, for his glory, okay, so that he can get the glory out of it. So I do believe that these things have happened for a reason. As I said, as a young 9-year-old, you're not going to really sit there and think, oh, I just astral projected. You're scared, okay? You're like, what is even going on, okay? And it's taken this many years, right, as an adult for me to come here and have some form of knowledge to what was actually happening to me at that time. And there are so many people who will turn around and say that these things have actually happened to them. You know what I mean? Like, but they don't know how to voice it because it makes you sound like you're crazy, okay? Because a lot of people don't believe, okay, in certain things, but it's happening. These things are happening. If it wasn't happening, then there wouldn't be so many, you know, stories based around astral projection and these things that happen to people when they're having outer body experiences. It's a true thing. It happens, okay? And it's not just within the dreams. The Lord will give us the dreams in order for us to have the understanding that these things are actually happening, so that we can take it to him, so that he can do what is necessary and show us what we need to do, so that he can get us in order, okay? Because if it's something that's illegal and we're not supposed to be doing it, why would we want to put ourselves in that place where we're out of alignment with what God says that we're supposed to be doing? We don't want to be on the wrong side of the Lord. So take it all back to him, okay? Anything that you may have any worries about, if this is happening to you, ask him to show you ways that, you know, you can possibly restrict this from happening. What it is he's trying to show you, you know, let him do the work, so that he can continue to keep you in alignment with where he wishes for you to be, so that the enemy doesn't have a playground, okay? In my daughter's one in particular, when she turned around and she told me she could see herself, then I started speaking to her and I said, the cat's dead. And I said, you need to go back to your body. That's when she saw the amount of demonic things that were around trying to get into her body. Our body is a vessel, okay? We do not know the amount of spiritual things that are all around about us, okay? From in different realms, so to speak, right? All these things that are trying to get a chance, okay? We've seen it in films. I used to watch horror movies. We've seen it in films, and the spirits will take hold of a body, okay? They will try to get in there so that they can be the host of that body. You must be mindful of your spirit, okay? And the power behind it, okay? Because the Lord knows what he's doing. He knows how to open us up to the things of the spirit, okay? And me, I have an open mind when it comes to what the Lord wants to show me and what he wants to say to me, because I refuse to put him in a corner and say, oh, you can only be involved in parts of my life. I want him involved in every single part of my life so that I can gain more understanding of what he is all about. Okay, like, to me, the Lord is just amazing. Like, so many things are mind-boggling, because I couldn't tell you how he put things together, how this molecule and that molecule and this atom and all these things create. Like, scientists try, but they still don't understand the ins and outs of everything. Only God does. But it's just fascinating to me. Okay, and from someone who wasn't really spiritual to somebody who now is on a faith walk with her father, right, my heavenly father God, right, it's a complete 180. Okay, he changed all of that, and now so much is being shown, so we must allow for him to come in and show us the things that he wants to show us, because it's important for our journey. Okay, this may not happen to you, so this is for specific people. This may not happen to you, never happen to you, right? But for those of us who it has happened to, this is something that we're going to have to continuously go back to the Lord with. Okay, personally, that's how I feel, because I want to make sure that I'm not stepping out of bounds, okay, or going anywhere where I'm not supposed to be going. Because who's to say that they won't try to come and take over this vessel that is mine and then end up stuck somewhere that I'm not supposed to be. So this is why prayer is important also, and to cover yourself. Cover yourself with the blood of Jesus from the crown of your head to the soles of your feet, and put on the full armor of God from the crown of your head to your soles of your feet. All those things are very important, because we don't know the full ins and outs of the spiritual realm. Okay, only God does, and he will show us the things that we are fighting against. And it's amazing but scary all at the same time. But he tells us, do not fear, because he has got us. Imagine at 9 years old, those things are happening. Anything could have happened at that point. That could have been me, bye-bye, and someone else taking over. Something else taking over. Who's to say? But who had me? He had me the whole entire time, because I'm still here today. So from that day to this, he made sure that he took care of me, and it's only been 4 years that I've been on this faith walk. Okay, that's a long time. I ain't even giving you my age. That's a long time to not know who he is and only have known him for the past 4 years. Cover yourself, pray over yourself, your children, your household, your family members. Okay, we do not fully know the extent of the spiritual realm and what the enemy is plotting and scheming, right? Especially for our children. Always put your prayers up for your children. It's very important, okay? Because the enemy is always trying to go after them, especially when they are unaware. So please, 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 for whoever this message is for, take it back to the Lord, of course, and see if there's anything else that you want to go and look up, and see if there's anything else that it says in the Bible. All I've seen about is like the occult and stuff like that for astral projection. So I'm going to keep on digging to see what else there is, etc. And like, if I have to visit this again, then we'll speak about it again. But for now, guys, I hope that you have a great day, afternoon, evening, whatever it may be, wherever you are. Ciao, Bella.